The morning shift at Riverside Hospital finally ended. Lily Dawson peeled off her gloves and leaned against the counter, feeling the dull throb of exhaustion rise behind her eyes. Outside, snow drifted past the tall windows in slow, soundless waves, turning the city of Denver into a white blur. Her phone buzzed beside her coffee cup. A message blinked across the screen. Ethan, can we meet? Same place. 11 a.m. Lily stared at it for a long moment. No emojis. No warmth. Just a short sentence that made her chest tighten. She typed back before she could think. On my way. The cafe downtown smelled like coffee and cinnamon. It used to be their spot. Warm lights, small tables, laughter echoing softly between them. Not today. Ethan sat by the window in his gray coat, his phone face down, his shoulders straight like someone preparing for a hard truth. You look serious, Lily said as she slid into the seat across from him, trying to keep her voice light. He didn't smile. I've been thinking, he began, voice careful. About us. Her stomach dropped. Okay, she whispered. I don't think we should get married, he said finally. The words felt like a punch. What? She asked, her hands trembling. Ethan sighed. You're amazing, Lily. But I've changed. Things have changed. Lily blinked hard. Changed? We've planned the wedding. We've paid the deposit. He rubbed his forehead. There's someone else. The world blurred. Who? Claire Morgan, he said quietly. Lily stared. Your father's business partner's daughter? Ethan nodded once. It just makes sense. She gave a shaky laugh. Of course it does. Her family's rich. He looked down at his coffee but didn't deny it. I think it's best if you take this back. He pushed the small velvet box toward her. The engagement rings sparkled between them like a cruel reminder. Keep it, she said, her voice cracking. You'll need it soon. When she stepped back into the snow, Lily barely felt the cold. The streets were white and silent. Her breath came in clouds as she walked aimlessly, boots crunching against the frozen ground. By the time she reached her mother's small house on Elm Street, her fingers were numb. The door opened before she could knock. Margaret Dawson, her mother, stood there with kind, worried eyes. Sweetheart, what's wrong? She asked softly. Lily tried to answer but the words broke. He's gone. Margaret didn't push for details. She just pulled her daughter close. Then let him go, she murmured. You don't chase someone who can't see your worth. That night, after her mother went to bed, Lily sat alone in the kitchen. The old clock ticked steadily in the quiet. On the table lay her wedding planner pages filled with dreams, color palettes and guest lists that no longer mattered. She traced Ethan's name written in looping script before closing the book and turning off the light. Snow pressed softly against the window. Her reflection looked unfamiliar, tired, older and heartbreakingly still. For the first time she didn't hold back the tears. She let them fall quiet and real. When the clock struck midnight, she whispered to the empty kitchen, "Tomorrow will be better." She didn't believe it yet, but saying it out loud made it feel like a small promise. Morning light crept through the frosted window, painting pale gold lines across the kitchen floor. The smell of coffee filled the air as Lily sat at the table, hands wrapped around a warm mug she hadn't touched. Margaret watched her daughter quietly from across the table. "You didn't sleep," she said softly. "Couldn't," Lily murmured. Her mother sighed, reaching out to squeeze her hand. "Don't lose faith in goodness, Lily. One heartbreak doesn't define the world." Lily tried to smile. "I don't think I have much faith left." "Then borrow mine," Margaret said simply. The words hung in the air like a blanket, warm, heavy and full of quiet love. Lily nodded, swallowing hard. "Hey Mom. Just for a little while." After breakfast, Lily opened her laptop and scrolled through job listings with half-hearted focus. Every position seemed dull or too far away, and the idea of returning to the same hospital halls where Ethan used to meet her after shifts made her chest ache. She shut the screen. Her phone buzzed again. Becky Adams. A familiar name that pulled her out of her fog. "Hey girl," Becky's cheerful voice filled the speaker. "Still looking for work?" "Trying," Lily said, forcing a laugh. "Got something for me?" "Private care position," Becky said. "Wealthy guy, mid-30s, lives by Lakewood. He's recovering from an accident, needs a live-in nurse. Good pay, nice house." Lily raised an eyebrow. "How good?" "Let's just say you could pay off your car in 3 months," Becky teased. Lily sat up. That sounds suspiciously good. Becky laughed. No catch. Well, maybe one. He's difficult. Fired 5 nurses already. You'd have to get through his housekeeper first. Her name's Mrs. Elaine Grant. She runs the place like the Queen's palace. Lily groaned. Becky, the last thing I need is a grumpy rich man yelling at me. You need a distraction, Becky said firmly. A change of air. Let someone else's problems drown out yours for a while. Lily looked toward the snowy window, the world outside still white and heavy. When do they need someone? Immediately, Becky replied. I already sent them your resume. Lily blinked. You what? You'll thank me later. 2 hours later, Lily stood in front of tall black iron gates engraved with Hunter Estate. Beyond them, a winding driveway disappeared into pine trees heavy with snow. Her breath clouded the air as a car pulled away behind her. For a moment she thought about turning back. But something inside her whispered forward. The gates opened slowly, almost like they were deciding if she was worthy. The mansion that appeared at the end of the drive looked unreal. Modern glass, stone walls and wide windows facing a frozen lake. Before she could knock, the door opened. A tall woman with silver-streaked hair and sharp blue eyes studied her. You must be Miss Dawson, the woman said. I'm Mrs. Grant. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for seeing me. Come in, she said curtly. The warmth inside was almost startling, smelling faintly of cedar and order. They walked across a marble floor that shone like ice. Mr. Hunter values precision and privacy, Mrs. Grant said in a tone that left no room for small talk. He expects the same from everyone who works here. They reached a sitting area where a folder waited on a polished table. Your friend Ms. Adams spoke highly of you, Mrs. Grant said, sliding the folder across. This is a confidentiality agreement. No photographs, no outside visitors, and no discussions about Mr. Hunter's condition. Ever. Lily skimmed the pages strict, but nothing unusual for high-profile patients. I understand, she said, signing her name. Mrs. Grant nodded. Salary is $100,000 a year. Meals and housing included. 2 days off per month. Lily's eyes widened. That's generous. Mrs. Grant's expression softened slightly. Mr. Hunter rewards loyalty. He has little patience for weakness. Does that concern you? No, Lily said quietly. I've dealt with worse. Mrs. Grant's lips curved into the faintest hint of approval. Report tomorrow at noon, she said. Bring only what you need. Everything else will be provided. When Lily stepped back into the cold, snowflakes clung to her hair like tiny crystals. She exhaled, watching the breath drift into the air. A black SUV idled near the gate, waiting to take her home. As she rode away, the estate disappeared behind the trees, but her thoughts stayed there. She wasn't sure what she was walking into, but for the first time in weeks, she felt something other than grief. It wasn't happiness, but maybe a beginning. The next day the SUV rolled through the same forest road. The estate looked even larger in daylight, its sharp lines gleaming against the white of the lake. The driver stopped by the steps. Good luck, he said. Lily smiled faintly. Thanks. I think I'll need it. Mrs. Grant met her at the door, posture perfect. Mr. Hunter is expecting you, she said. And he values punctuality. Inside, the house was silent except for the faint hum of the heating. Every piece of furniture looked like it had been placed with purpose. Where should I put my things? Lily asked. Upstairs, second door on the left, Mrs. Grant replied. But first, Mr. Hunter wants to see you. They moved down a long corridor lined with abstract paintings, bold strokes of black and gray. Mrs. Grant knocked once on a half-open door. Mr. Hunter, Miss Dawson has arrived. A voice came from within, low, calm, and distant. Send her in. The wheelchair faced the window. When the man turned, Lily froze. Noah Hunter looked nothing like the patient she had imagined. He was in his mid-30s, sharply handsome but with eyes too tired for his age, steel gray, cold and measured. Number 6, he said without preamble. Lily blinked. Sorry. You're the 6th nurse in 10 months. I keep count. Mrs. Grant's glance warned her to tread lightly. But Lily only smiled faintly. Then I'll try not to make it 7. Something flickered across his expression. Annoyance, maybe intrigue. It vanished fast. He gestured to a pile of folders on the table. Those are therapy notes, medication logs and diet plans. Learn them. And please spare me sympathy speeches. I've heard them all. Good, Lily said evenly. I wasn't planning one. His gaze sharpened for a second as if testing her tone. Before he could reply, Mrs. Grant cleared her throat. Sir, it's nearly time for lunch. Noah turned his chair toward the hall. We'll eat in the dining room. He didn't look at Lily as he moved past her, but she followed silently. The dining room was wide and bright, glass walls overlooking the frozen lake. The table could seat 10, but only 3 places were set. Mrs. Grant sat at one end, Noah at the other, and Lily somewhere between. Conversation was scarce, broken only by the soft clink of silverware and the crackle of the fireplace. Finally Mrs. Grant spoke. Miss Dawson, have you lived in Colorado long? Born and raised, Lily said. My mother still lives in the city. Mrs. Grant nodded approvingly. Good. Stability is important here. She lowered her voice slightly. Mr. Hunter has dismissed 5 nurses. Not because he's cruel, but because he doesn't tolerate weakness. Noah's head lifted. You make me sound like a villain. Mrs. Grant smiled faintly. Only a man who refuses help. He said nothing. Lily glanced at him, her voice gentle. Sometimes refusing help isn't strength. It's just fear in disguise. His eyes met hers for the first time, cool, unreadable, but they didn't look away. After dinner, Mrs. Grant led Lily upstairs to her room. It was simple but elegant. A soft bed, a writing desk by the window, and a perfect view of the frozen lake. The silence was so deep it almost hummed. Lily unpacked slowly, her mind replaying every detail of that tense meal. The way Noah barely spoke, the quiet authority in his voice, and the emptiness behind his eyes. There was pride there, yes, but also something else. Loneliness buried too deep for words. When she turned off the lamp, the room dimmed to silver, snowflakes brushing against the glass like whispers from another world. Somewhere downstairs, a piano key echoed faintly, a single note out of place, then silence again. It was past midnight when a sound woke her. At first she thought it was the wind. Then came a faint metallic thud, steady, deliberate, and strained. She slipped on her sweater and opened the door. The hall was dim, lined with shadows. The sound grew louder as she followed it down the corridor and stopped outside a partially open door glowing with pale light. Inside was a private gym, all mirrors and chrome, gleaming even in the dark. Noah was there, gripping a pair of parallel bars. His wheelchair sat behind him, empty. Sweat glistened on his forehead as he forced his legs to move. One slow, painful step. Then another. His jaw clenched, every muscle trembling. Then his right leg buckled. The sight made Lily's breath catch. Mr. Hunter, she gasped without thinking. He whipped his head toward her, eyes blazing. What are you doing here? I heard a noise, she said, voice soft but steady. You thought I fell? He snapped. You thought I needed saving? He gripped the rails again, trying to stand straighter, but his hand slipped and pain twisted across his face. She stepped forward instinctively. Please let me help, don't. The word cracked through the air like lightning. He was furious, but it wasn't anger. It was pride gasping for air. His breathing grew uneven. You shouldn't see this, he said through his teeth. You don't belong in this part of my life. Lily stood her ground. Then what part does anyone belong to, Noah? The part where you stare out the window pretending you're fine. His eyes flashed, but he didn't answer. The silence between them stretched tight. Finally, his arm gave out and he sagged back into the wheelchair, exhausted. You saw nothing tonight, he muttered, refusing to meet her gaze. Lily's tone softened. Then let me be the one who helps you keep it that way. His eyes flicked toward her, searching for pity. Finding none, only calm resolve. Why? He asked quietly. Because I've seen people give up, she said, and you don't look like one of them. For a moment neither spoke. The sound of the heating vent filled the quiet. Finally he said, if we do this, if I let you in, it stays between us. No reports. No witnesses. You understand? Lily nodded. On one condition. He frowned. What's that? You trust me. A faint smirk tugged at his mouth. That's not something I give easily. I'm not asking you to give it, she replied softly. Just don't take it away once it's there. For the first time he looked uncertain. Mrs. Grant's footsteps echoed faintly upstairs, breaking the spell. You should get some sleep, Miss Dawson, Noah said, his voice quieter now. You too, Mr. Hunter. Over the next few days their uneasy truce became a routine. Every morning at 7 Lily found him already in the gym. You're early, she said once. I don't like waiting for people, he replied flatly. Good, she said, smiling faintly. Neither do I. Their sessions were long and tense. Straighten your spine, she'd remind him. You're compensating with your arms again. I know what I'm doing, he'd mutter. Then prove it, she'd counter, calm but firm. Sometimes just before he turned away she'd catch the faintest ghost of a smile, one he tried too hard to hide. Progress was slow, but it was there. Each step lasted longer, each breath steadier. By the 4th morning she walked into the gym to find him already halfway through his routine. You're pushing early again, she said. I don't wait for nurses, he replied, sweat running down his temple. I'm not just a nurse. I'm your best chance at standing again, she shot back. He laughed quietly, the sound low but real. It was the first time she'd heard it. You have a mouth on you, Miss Dawson. And you have legs that still work, she said evenly. You just need to remember how to trust them. The words hung between them like a challenge. He didn't answer, but his next step was firmer, stronger, as if her belief had slipped into his bloodstream. That afternoon, while sorting his medical logs, Lily noticed Mrs. Grant lingering at the doorway. You're getting through to him, the older woman said softly. He listens to you. Lily smiled faintly. I wouldn't say listens. More like argues less. Mrs. Grant chuckled. For Mr. Hunter, that's progress. Her voice grew quieter. Be patient with him. He's lost more than movement. The accident took his confidence and someone he trusted. Lily's brow furrowed. Who? Mrs. Grant hesitated. His former business partner, Peter Morgan. The same man whose daughter she stopped herself. Never mind. Some wounds don't belong to history. Lily nodded, though curiosity gnawed at her. That night Lily stayed late in the study updating records. Through the window the lake shimmered under moonlight like frozen glass. The house was still except for the soft hum of the fire. She packed her folder and turned toward the hall when she heard voices, faint but sharp, from Noah's office. One male, one female. She recognized the woman's voice first, Claire Morgan. You need to think about your investors, Noah, Claire was saying. The board is nervous. They don't believe you're ready to lead again. Then they'll learn patience, Noah replied coolly. Patience doesn't keep companies alive, she said. Partnerships do. Lily froze at the doorway. Her pulse quickened. The name Morgan again. Becky's mention, Mrs. Grant's half-warning. It all tangled together. Claire's voice lowered, almost intimate. Peter wants to help, but he can't unless you trust him. Noah's tone sharpened. Peter Morgan doesn't help anyone unless it benefits him. That's unfair, she said quickly. He's still your friend. Friends don't forge contracts behind your back, Noah said. Lily's breath caught. There was silence, then the sound of papers sliding across the desk. Think about it, Claire said finally, her voice cold now. You won't have many allies left if you keep shutting people out. The door closed softly. Noah remained still for a moment, his shoulders tense. Lily stepped back into the shadows before he could see her. Something dangerous was unfolding here. Something far bigger than therapy. She pressed her palm to her chest, whispering to herself, What are you hiding, Mr. Hunter? The next morning the air in the house felt heavier. Noah was quieter than usual, his expression locked in thought. During therapy he hardly spoke, his movements rigid and distracted. You're not focusing, Lily said softly. Something on your mind? Nothing you need to worry about, he replied without looking at her. That's not true, she said. You wear your thoughts like bruises. He gave her a faint, humorless smile. You talk too much for a nurse. And you avoid too much for a man who wants to heal, she countered. His eyes lifted to hers, gray and sharp. You don't know me, Miss Dawson. Maybe not, she said, but I can see you're tired of fighting ghosts. The silence that followed said everything he didn't. That night Lily couldn't sleep. She kept hearing Claire's voice, the mention of Peter Morgan, and the bitterness in Noah's tone. Something about it didn't fit. The next morning when Mrs. Grant left for town, Lily found herself walking toward Noah's office. The door was half open, the papers on his desk scattered like a storm had passed through. One folder sat apart from the rest, marked Morgan Holdings Agreement. Curiosity wrestled with guilt, but she opened it anyway. Her heart sank. The document transferred ownership of several key patents, Noah's life's work, to Peter Morgan's company. And it was signed by Noah himself, dated 2 weeks after his accident. He was sedated then, Lily whispered. He couldn't have signed this. The floor creaked behind her. What are you doing? Noah's voice froze her in place. She turned slowly. I saw something I think you need to know. His expression hardened. You went through my files? I was trying to help, she said quickly. That agreement, it's not real. You were too injured to sign anything. His eyes narrowed. That's a serious accusation, Miss Dawson. It's the truth, she insisted. Peter forged it. And how would you know that? He demanded. Because I overheard Claire last night, Lily said. They're planning something. You need to see it before it's too late. He looked at her for a long moment, torn between disbelief and doubt. You've crossed a line, he said finally, his voice low. Leave the office. Her stomach twisted, but she obeyed, closing the door quietly behind her. Hours passed in silence. Lily sat by her window, watching the snow fall in slow waves over the lake. Had she made things worse? Maybe he'd never trust her again. Just as she was about to turn in, there was a knock at her door. Miss Dawson, Noah's voice said softly. May I come in? She opened it, startled. He wheeled inside, holding a folder. I checked the file, he said quietly. You were right. Relief washed over her face. You believe me? He nodded. I don't know why, but I do. He handed her the folder. There's more. Look. Hidden beneath the signature page was an authorization note for a bank transfer. Millions moved from his accounts to Morgan Holdings. Lily's eyes widened. They're bleeding you dry. And I let them, he said bitterly. Because I trusted the wrong people. The next few days were a whirlwind of tension. Noah spent hours on the phone with his lawyer, a sharp woman named Melissa Kent. Lily helped organize his records, gathering every file, every email, every paper trail. The mansion turned into a war room. He used my accident to sign over control, Noah said one night, voice tight with fury. He waited until I couldn't fight back. Lily placed a hand gently on his arm. Then fight now. On your terms. He looked at her, eyes flickering with determination. You really think I can win? I think you already started, she said. The hearing day arrived sooner than either expected. The boardroom at Hunter Innovations buzzed with murmurs as Noah entered, walking slowly but steadily with his cane. Gasps filled the air. It was the first time anyone had seen him stand since the accident. Peter Morgan sat at the far end, calm and smug, flanked by Claire. Noah, he said smoothly. Good to see you walking again. You won't be smiling for long, Noah replied evenly. He placed a folder on the table. These are forged contracts bearing my digital signature, submitted while I was under medical care. The room went still. Peter's smirk faltered. Noah turned to Melissa. She pressed play on a recording Lily had captured. A late-night phone call between Claire and Peter discussing the forged deal. The voices on the recording were crystal clear. Once he signs the next document, Claire's voice said, Hunter Innovations will be ours. He'll never know. Peter's voice followed. Perfect. By the time he finds out, it'll be too late. When the recording ended, silence crushed the room. Well? Noah asked calmly. Still want to talk about partnerships? Peter's face drained of color. How did you? You taught me never to trust anyone completely, Noah said coldly. Guess I finally learned. One of the board members stood up. Mr. Hunter, the evidence is conclusive. We move to revoke Mr. Morgan's position and file immediate legal action. The vote passed unanimously. Peter stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Claire followed, her face pale and trembling. After the meeting, Noah stood quietly by the window overlooking the city skyline. The winter light reflected off the glass, soft and gold. Lily approached him slowly. It's over, she said. No, he replied, a small smile tugging at his lips. It's just beginning. She looked at him, puzzled. You mean rebuilding? He nodded. Yes. But not just the company. Myself. He turned toward her, the gray in his eyes no longer cold but alive. I couldn't have done this without you. She smiled softly. You could have. You just didn't have to. For a long moment neither moved. The space between them felt different now. Warmer, peaceful, real. A week later the snow began to melt around the lake. The air was softer and the house no longer felt haunted. Lily walked beside Noah along the frozen shore, his steps measured but steady. You're improving fast, she said. I had a good teacher, he replied. She smiled. You're walking without the chair now. That's huge. I'm learning to stand again, he said quietly, in more ways than one. They stopped near the edge of the lake where thin cracks shimmered with sunlight. Their reflections trembled across the melting ice. Two people who had broken, yet learned to heal in the same rhythm. You gave me back more than strength, Lily, Noah said softly. You gave me back trust. She looked at him, eyes shining in the pale light. And you reminded me that broken things can still stand. A slow smile crossed his face. Then we're even. They turned toward the mansion, their footsteps leaving twin trails in the snow. For once, the silence between them wasn't heavy, it was peaceful. The house, once a prison of grief, now felt alive again, filled with quiet hope. As the sun dipped behind the trees, Noah reached for her hand, not out of need but gratitude. And for the first time since the day her heart shattered, Lily felt whole again. Moral lesson. Even in the coldest seasons of life, healing begins when you stop hiding your pain and start trusting those who stand beside you. True strength isn't found in silence, it's found in the courage to accept help, forgive yourself and rise again. Thanks you for watching, and please remember to tell us where you are watching from today. Hit the like button, comment and subscribe to this channel for more of this.